everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults.
And beer.
And beer.
I feel like I really got a hold of that one.
Yeah, you did. You grabbed that one.
Damn.
You own that shit, but you're not drinking a beer.
That's true.
But anyway, I'm Bill, and joining me once again is the History Goon, Kevin Carleton.
Yes, sir.
This is episode 147. But before we get started, Kevin finally has the announcement we've all been waiting for.
Yeah. I can finally officially say, as of today, 5/12/25 on recording, that the History Goon podcast goes live to the public on the 21st of this month. Unless you want early access, then you can go over to the 1159 media page on Patreon. And it goes up. The first 6 episodes go live on Patreon on the, I just had my notes here, 14th of this month. So that would be
2 days
Thursday.
from now. Yeah.
2 days from now. So
yep.
Hell
yeah.
Very, very excited.
Well, congratulations.
Appreciate it. And for the last 3 months, it's been nothing but.
Yeah, well, I mean,
when I can talk about things.
Yeah, I also have some bad news. We've got some housekeeping to deal with. We're not going. But there's, some of you know who follow the show's social media, but for those of you who don't, this is sad. But anyway, before we get to that, congratulations, Kevin. It should be noted that next week's episode was actually recorded before this one.
Yes.
And Kevin was on that one too. And on that one, he announces that he doesn't have an announcement. But on the episode before that one, as far as the release date, he announces that his announcement. So I just got to clarify that a little bit. But anyway, my bad news. My lifelong friend, bandmate, the original CKCB co-host Todd passed away on April 25th. It was an apparent heart attack. Yeah, I took a couple weeks off doing the show just to process it and everything, and I'm ready to go again now. I've been putting together a tribute episode to Todd that's going to be released before his celebration of life, which will happen sometime next month. And I've taken clips from 7 different episodes that stuck out of my mind. Yeah, clips of him laughing and having fun. OG listeners will remember these episodes. But Todd was loved by so many people. Yeah, he was literally that person. I've known the guy for 35 years, and he's like the only one of my long-term, lifelong friends that I've never gotten into an argument with ever. But there's likely a whole lot of people, his friends and family that didn't even know that he was on a podcast. So I've got around 90 episodes with him. So I figured that it would be great to do this for his friends and family so that they could hear him laughing and having fun. And I'm the only person that has this.
And I was going to say something, that's the great thing about the media that we're in is it sticks around forever. Mm-hmm. So if anybody is having a rough time, or they're just, any of his family members are really missing him, you can grab that episode or any of the episodes that he's on and listen to it, and you can hear his voice, and it's just like a little bit of a reminder that, he may be gone, but he's still here.
Yeah, and he's laughing and he's having fun.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the only time I ever got a chance to talk to him was when we recorded that episode of Save the Date.
Forget the date and
forget the date. I'm so sorry.
And you can forget about that podcast.
We don't want to save the dates. We want to forget those.
And you can forget about that podcast too. But I'll probably link that particular episode in the tribute episode.
But honestly, I mean, we talked for an hour and a half before you even hit the little red button to record.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish you'd hit record as soon as all 3 of us were on there, because we said some wild shit.
Yeah, but that's just who he was.
Mm-hmm. Seems like a very good guy.
Yeah, he was. Also, anybody that's listening to this, I'm collecting voice messages from friends and family to include in the episode. I've already got quite a few from his friends and family, even other podcasters who are on episodes with him. Former co-host Paul even sent one in. But if you were a fan of Todd, you can do it too. just add me on my CKC Bill or CKC Bill Facebook page, which I'll put a link to at the of this episode, and just record a voice message on Messenger. I'll get the messages from there, and if you want to say something, go ahead, and you'll be part of that episode. But I don't want to go too much into it on this episode because I want you to listen to the tribute.
Yes.
But if you send me a voice message, it'll go on the episode if I get it out before the deadline, which as of recording this, there isn't a deadline yet. But for context, I also feel it necessary to include this too. Todd was the second friend in my inner circle to die within 30 days.
Oh my God, dude. I didn't know that.
Yeah, nobody does. Well, I mean,
Damn.
my Florida friends know that, but
damn.
Another friend, also another guitar player, a guy named Doug Gibson, died almost exactly a month prior to April 25th when Todd died.
Wow.
Doug and I were somewhat close. He wasn't only a friend, but he was also a major influence of mine on guitar. And I wanted to put together a band to do a show or two playing my original music with me on vocals and guitar, but with Doug on lead guitar, with Todd on bass, along with a keyboard player and a drummer. Todd told me, he's like, if we get Doug on guitar, I'll play bass. Because this guy was phenomenal.
Just that damn good.
Yeah. But Doug listened to my music and he loved it. Oh, by the way, in the tribute episode, you're also going to hear a song with Todd playing guitar on it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Not me singing though. It was with a band. But Doug listened to my music and he loved it, but he broke his wrist very badly as we were trying to put this thing together. And I jokingly told him that, like, hey, if you didn't want to do the shows, you could have just told me. You didn't have to go break your fucking wrist.
Right.
Oh,
I could have been like, yeah, man, I can't talk tonight. I can't talk tonight. I broke my ankle.
But yeah, he thought that was hilarious. But we stayed in touch, and he was about ready to start playing when he died. I mean, he had been going through rehab and all that stuff. So 2 members of the band that I was trying to put together, and seriously, it almost makes me not even want to do it anymore.
Fuck. Yeah, I can't say I blame you. I mean, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's just, it comes for us all. But
yeah, that's not easy. I mean, and that's the problem with getting old, is the older you get, the more people you start to lose.
Yep.
You know? Yeah, I lost my uncle unexpectedly, out of the blue, beginning of last year. And it's like, fuck. Had no health problems, just dropped dead, had a heart attack on,
Yeah.
So when he passed, he actually rolled out of his bed and landed on the floor. And the people at the hospital are like, yeah, he was most likely dead before he hit the floor. So
that's kind of practically died in his sleep. So that's a good thing.
Yep, that's the way I would want to go. It's
Same.
just quick and yep.
But this is the first episode that I've recorded since the time that I took off after Todd died. So. Yeah, but enough sad stuff. Let's talk about a serial killer.
Enough sad shit. Let's talk about some sad shit.
I mean, how can you segue? That's the only way you can. That's the only way you can segue.
Yeah.
But
so we went from talking about a friend that's passed away to let's talk about people that we don't know or that are going to pass away in a much more violent manner, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Not many serial killers out there giving people heart attacks.
This episode's on Clarence, preacher Heatley, who had an ominous nickname. Well, he had 2 nicknames. Preacher was his nickname, but the media dubbed him the Black Hand of Death.
Ooh, very spooky. The media should not be allowed to name anything.
Exactly.
They're terrible at it.
Yeah.
God, they're awful at it.
But and he was also a very imposing character, standing 6'7".
Holy shit! So he's like the second biggest serial killer on record, something like that.
Something like that.
Because I mean, Ed Kemper was what 6'9", I think.
Yeah. Although in a fight, I think Preacher would have the edge, honestly.
Oh, probably, yeah. Ed Kemper seemed like a big pussy when it came to like an actual fist fight.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But he was a vicious drug dealer in New York City who extorted, tortured, kidnapped, and murdered people just to gain notoriety or infamy in the streets of the Bronx and Harlem. His enforcer crew had a name too. They were called the Preacher Crew.
That makes sense.
Yeah. He was known to butcher his victims with electric saws. And also, have you ever seen movies where killers will decapitate a victim and play with the head as a soccer ball, like a soccer ball?
Yes.
Preacher Crew actually did that.
And I've heard of some, let's call them Southern North American pharmaceutical moving companies that do that as well. Because we're not going to call them what they are because I don't want to fuck with that.
Heatley's top lieutenant was a man named John Cuff, and he was a former cop in the early 90s. And, and the NYPD, the NYPD and the FBI actually formed a task force specifically to take Heatley's gang down. Yeah, so
I'm sure they had a terrible name for the task force too.
Probably, but we don't need to know that. We'll just call the task force badasses because that's what they were.
I can't remember who it was. Was it BTK that the task force was like the hot dog squad or some shit like that was after him?
No, they were the Ghostbusters.
Okay, there was definitely one that was calling themselves the hot dog squad. Can't remember who it was. I'll do a quick Google while we're here because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't.
The sources are the doc Very Scary People, Season 6, Episode 3, biography.com, Gangsters, America's Most Evil, Season 2, Episode 1, and a little bit of wiki. Always got to throw in that little bit of wiki.
Yeah, Wikipedia is one of those like hit or miss where it's like, yeah, the birth date's probably going to be accurate, but the rest of it is kind of can be a little iffy.
I've also found it's pretty good on backstories too.
Yes, yeah,
which is weird. But Clarence Heatley was born in Harlem in 1953, but not much is known about his childhood. We do know that he had several siblings, both brothers and sisters. He was either a bad seed or the product of a bad environment, or maybe a mixture of the two. Most of his time in grade school, he was in reform schools, and he likely dropped out in middle school. He started his
sounds about right.
Yeah, he started his criminal life shortly after that, or maybe even before. But he was all in. He started breaking and entering, robbing people, and he was frequently busted for possession of firearms as a minor. Finally, he was sentenced to a juvenile detention center and spent a couple years there, where, of course, he learned the trade from more experienced teenagers. But he was ahead of the curve when he came in. But not all education is pleasant. A former associate of his said in an interview that Heatley had told him that bad things happened to him when he was at Warwick Boys Home.
For white boys?
You fucker. You've been listening to old Todd episodes.
I tried to do some homework,
You must have. The only one that I can really think of is that I could actually remember was the Pee Wee Gaskins episode, because that's where that originated from.
Oh boy.
Oh god. But what had happened? Oh god, I love you for that.
I wish I had listened to this before I recorded my Joe Barbosa episode, because I could have thrown in the Wayward Home for White Boys as well on that one, but
Pee Wee was sent to a boys' school in South Carolina that had 4 white boys in its name, and every time a school like that came up in future episodes, Todd would say, "For white boys." Todd would have spit out his drink if he heard you say that.
he's laughing somewhere.
Yeah.
I'd put money on that.
Yeah. But no. In fact, Clarence Heatley was a black man. And this school was not segregated.
So I'm not going to go back and re-say that then, because
well, you didn't know.
I don't need to get canceled right now.
You didn't know.
No, I mean, I'm not going to go back and say it the other way.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not what it was. It was for white boys. No. The school was called for white boys. But
okay, so hold on. So they sent a black kid to a white prison?
No, this was a segregated. No.
Okay, so there was separate wings.
No, it wasn't segregated. It was intricate.
Oh,
it was not It was not segregated. Damn.
Very, very progressive prison system.
You totally derailed me on that.
I fucked your brain, Bill.
Oh man.
And I'm only drinking tap water, man.
That explains it.
It's the fluoride.
Okay, we're getting fluoride taken out in Florida.
Oh, it must be nice. They're just gonna fucking add all of it up here.
But oh gosh. He, like most other kids who wind up in places like that, was sexually abused. And in 1970, after being there for several years, Heatley was released at 17 years old. In just a few years, his neighborhood in Harlem had been changed. Drug dealers ran the show there. They ran the street selling heroin, cocaine, and LSD. And that's common in every big city around that time frame.
Yes.
It happened.
Hell, that's common in fucking small town Vermont.
It's common. It's common everywhere. Law-abiding people didn't stand a chance. They were either going to be victims or they're going to be participants. Prostitution had also come, which, as I said, prostitution had also come.
Oh, hit the rim shot on that one.
No shit. But which also attracted special kinds of assholes as pimps who would not only traffic these women and abuse them to break them, they would get these women hooked on drugs to keep them in line. Heatley returned to what got him locked up in the first place after a year or two after his release. He robbed a convenience store and got caught. And he was sentenced to 6 to 12 years at Dannemora Prison, a prison known as one of the most violent in the U.S.
Yep.
And
I think we've mentioned Dannemora on here a couple of times when I've been on. That's also the one where they had the prison escape a couple years ago from.
But it's also the largest maximum security prison in New York. And it's been there for a very long time. Even Carl Panzram did time there in the 1930s. Which was...
Yes, he did.
Which,
I mean, that was just on his fucking world tour of going to jail.
Yeah. But that was, by the way, a 3-part episode with Todd, episode 76, 77, and 78. But...
Holy shit. Okay, so it's now known as the Clinton Correctional Facility, but it was built in 1844. So it's pre-Civil War.
Yeah.
That's a... You know, England wants to brag about having bars older than our country, but I mean, we've been sending people to prison for a long goddamn time.
Yeah. When Heatley was there, he was determined not to be the victim of sexual abuse this time around. So what happened? Take a guess.
Oh, he started doing it himself.
Damn right he did.
Yep.
But he didn't stop there. This whole time he was putting together a plan. He spent lots of time in the prison library researching. He was reading books on how to control people. And I imagine he read The Prince by Machiavelli, among others.
Oh, yep.
It was confirmed that he read John Gotti's books. The books that he wrote about fame and fortune.
Yep.
One of his favorite books was The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
Oh, I love that one. I got a copy of that on my shelf there somewhere.
I have one somewhere too. But he was, I mean, seriously, there's good information there. There's good information in that book and in The Prince that can be used for good or bad.
Oh, for sure.
You know, but he was planning on putting together his own version of the mafia in Harlem once he got out. He also learned how to be a great speaker as well as a master manipulator. That's why I think that he read The Prince. The Prince didn't come up.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, The Prince didn't come up in research, but I guarantee you he read The Prince. just as much as he read The Art of War. But that's how he got his name, The Preacher. Because in prison, because of how good he was at manipulation. And he also sprinkled religion into it, too.
Yep. That'll get you every time.
Yeah. So there in prison, he would preach, but it wasn't the gospel. He was grooming people into his gang. In 1983, after serving 6 years out of a possible 12, Heatley was released, and cocaine was all the rage at that point. And the drug dealers weren't even hiding it. They were everywhere, and Heatley sold dollar signs.
What year was this?
He got out in 83.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That was that was big time, because that was right around the beginning of the crack epidemic. Was like 83, 84, somewhere in there.
Yep. So he came in at the perfect time.
Yeah, and this is also like post Bumpy Johnson and all those other guys that were running Harlem for a while and making a real mess of it.
Yep. But Heatley didn't want to deal drugs. He wanted to extort the drug dealers. And he was very well studied on how to do it, and he wasn't afraid of using violence to drive his point home.
Well, I mean, he's a drug dealer.
He got into the protection or taxing racket. And to do that, you needed a reputation. So he had a rule for his cruel. Hey, unintentional.
Rule for the cruel.
Unintentional but accurate slip. But
yep.
He had a rule. He had a rule for his crew. The drug dealers will either comply or they will wind up dead, or a member of their family would end up dead. He did not give a shit.
No. And that's the thing with a lot like drug dealers that scares me is it's the same kind of feeling as like the mafia, where if you owe them money, if you pay them back quickly, that's fine. If you don't, they're going to fuck you up.
Put a knife in that. But so when he got out, he quickly put together a crew of thugs with the worst reputations that he could find. And they were all younger and impressionable skulls of mush that were right for his picking. He was a father figure to them, and he started by taking care of business, if any, that these young guys were having problems with somebody. That's how he gained their trust.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty, and he treated these guys with what they saw as love and respect, but in the end, they were just cannon fodder as far as he was concerned.
Yep. They didn't matter.
No. But to initiate these guys, he would get them alone and basically tell them that if they wanted to leave the room, they were part of his family. And if they weren't, he would kill them. And after they agreed, because he made them an offer that they couldn't refuse, he would take them and have them either muscle somebody into doing what he wanted or kill somebody.
Yep. That all tracks.
Yep. After that was when the love bombing started. You know, after he threatened to kill them and made them muscle or kill somebody that they didn't even know.
Yeah, that'll do it.
One ex-member in an interview said that Heatley had turned him into a well-trained pit bull and a monster. And the same thing happened for all members of the crew. And he acquired a crappy 4-story apartment building for all of them to live together in. He renovated and made it nice, and all of the crew lived there together. But he also made it impenetrable, even surrounding it with fence and barbed wire, you know, like a prison.
Holy shit. Yeah, it's a compound of sorts, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the middle of Harlem, it's a kind of strange place to see something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't realize this going into the episode, but this guy checks out as a cult leader.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, we're not that far in, but I could see that as a...
But at this point in the research, I was like, or he at least used cult tactics, and I'm sure that he followed the likes of, you know, that he read up on Jim Jones and people like that as well.
Oh, for sure.
But
that and being in prison that has that same kind of structural thing where it's like you're going to answer to, you know, you answer to your shot caller or whatever you want to call it, and you're going to do what you're told, or else you're going to get your ass kicked and they're going to take your ramen noodles.
Yeah. He just wanted to be a kingpin. But I went on Spotify to see if anybody had covered this guy as a cult. But apparently, we're the first to cover him at all, at least according as far as Spotify is concerned. Yeah.
And that's something to be the first to cover somebody for a podcast, is especially since they've been around for so long.
Yeah. So let's review. He love bombed. He was charismatic. He made his crew love him. It was illegal to disagree with him. He demanded your total compliance on whatever he asked you to do. You couldn't say no to him. He had a strict disciplinary regimen for his followers. Punishments were severe. Okay, this is getting the cult outro. I mean, this was a cult in the way that the Chicago Rippers were a cult.
Yep.
Which raises the question: why the hell is CKCB the first to cover this guy?
That's a good question.
Yeah, maybe
That's a very good question.
I hope I don't get hit with a drive-by sometime.
I mean, you're like a couple of miles away from Harlem, so
yeah, 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, you've got other people to worry about down there instead of New York gangbangers.
Yeah.
You may have those guys that have 2 letters and 2 numbers in their name around there, and some other folks, and
yeah. Well, this isn't an active gang either. I mean, and the people that survived spoke out against him, so I think I'm good.
Oh, good.
I won't cover the one that will remain nameless that you were referring to, and I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yep, because I'd rather not have my face sewn onto the back of my head.
Yeah,
I like it right where it's at.
We're talking about that mouse cult, the Chippendales cult that you brought up in an episode that, as of this recording, hasn't been released yet. So
I forgot I mentioned that. Oh yeah.
Well, I just edited that episode last night. So
gadget hack and wrench from Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
So for all you listening, as far as that one is concerned,
pretend I didn't just say this.
Or put
a knife in it.
Exactly. But his pecking order was, of course, him at the top. John Cuff, the former police officer, was his second in command. And what a great name for a cop. John Cuff.
Right?
That almost sounds like a freaking bad 80s cop movie.
Yeah.
I'm Detective John Cuff.
He's a background character in, what was it, 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
So Eddie Murray was a baseball player. Oops.
Cuff became a police officer to make his life easier as a gangster, meaning he went in intending to be a dirty cop. And he was a very dirty one.
And he's not even like an Italian gangster either, because they do that shit a lot.
Yeah, but no, this guy, this is a black guy.
Because those guys would send like their kids off to the police academy or law school, and be like, yeah, you get all this stuff done. You're going to work for the family. You're just going to do it from the other side.
Yeah,
super sketchy.
Well, like what Don Corleone wanted for Michael. He wanted to be a senator.
Yep.
So,
which, I mean, Don Corleone, John Kennedy Sr., whatever. Or sorry, Joe Kennedy. Yeah.
Yeah. One time a cop went to him and told him that they had found out that a drug leader in New York City had put out a contract on his life. And Cuff just laughed and said, everybody wants to be dead, and walked away. So he wasn't even trying to hide it.
Jesus Christ.
Third in command was a man named Anthony Boatwright. He was an enforcer, and a brutal one at that. He was a skilled fighter in the martial arts, and he was also an infantryman in Desert Storm.
Oh, okay. Well, not that we did a bunch during Desert Storm, other than, wasn't a lot of infantry. I think there was
actually, I think infantry is wrong. I think he was part of special forces.
I was going to say, I think we only lost like 10 or 12 guys during the entirety of Desert Storm.
But no, I think it was special forces. I think I got that wrong. I think it was special forces, which makes him very deadly.
Oh, for sure.
Whether he did anything in Desert Storm or not, he's got the training.
Yeah. The special forces guys are the ones that, especially the ones that don't talk about what they did or write books about who they killed. Those are the guys you don't fuck with.
Yeah. So he trained the lower level guys, which Heatley called janitors. How flattering.
Cleaning up messes.
Yep. But Boatwright trained them in hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, and the rest of the crew, there was the top three, and then the rest, everybody else was janitors, basically killers. They carried out the bulk of the hits under the direction of Heatley, Cuff, and Boatwright, and they would kill and dismember people without question if they got the order to do it. Janitors would get tattoos of a mop and a bucket with blood dripping off of the mop.
Oh, that's amazing.
With the word "dad" underneath it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They would constantly have to prove their loyalty to Heatley. So yeah, cult.
How much dirty work did they have to do to get a slippery when wet sign tattoo? Like one of the little yellow the little yellow sandwich board things they put in the middle of McDonald's so you can't sue them if you fall.
Every time they asked Heatley the question, he would say, "Whoa, you're halfway there."
Keep going, my son.
Oh God. But would you join a group if the leader said that your title was janitor?
I wouldn't take a job if they told me my title was a janitor, so I'm going to say no.
Well, I mean, but Heatley promised bank, and he delivered too.
I'd have to really consider that. I might not be the correct level of melanin, melanin for his group, but
yeah. But he had a strict set of rules: no sleeping with another member's girlfriend. Yeah, because you don't want infighting.
Yep.
No stealing money. No drugs. You're not allowed to take any drugs other than weed, or cigarettes and alcohol too. But no infighting. And if there was a problem, preacher solved it down in the basement, but no DJ revolved it.
Oh God. Oh God. Because I remember that when it came out. Oh God. That's like when you're listening to the classic rock station and fucking Korn comes on and you're like, no. This isn't classic rock.
But seriously, he would bring people down into the basement of his building and then a trial would happen. Not guilty, thumbs up. Guilty, thumbs down. Just like in the Gladiators. And if you lost, you died, and that got you to the back of the head.
Yep, that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, and you would disappear. He put his crew together between 1983 and 84, but he hadn't really started out yet. But around 1985 was when crack came to Harlem, and that's when Heatley decided that it was go time.
Yep.
Now we're
going to make money.
Yeah. One of the first people that Heatley set his sights on was a drug dealer making about $10,000 a night. And this guy was in over his head with his rivals, so he went to Heatley, who sent a janitor to take care of the rivals. But when the janitor went to do it, the rivals killed the janitor.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Heatley had a meeting with the guy, with the drug dealer, and wound up taking half of his drugs and his operation. So basically, he made an offer he didn't refuse.
He cleaned his ass out.
Yeah. I don't know if he woke up with a horse head in his bed or not, but
well, being New York City was probably just like a bunch of dead rats because that's all they have there.
But they're the size of horses.
That's true. They're huge.
Oh man. This was really what put Heatley on the map. He then used his reputation to muscle shop owners out of their money. He'd walk in, tell them to empty the cash register, and they did it because they were afraid of him. And it wasn't even a protection racket. It was straight up theft.
Yeah. That's usually how it worked with the protection stuff. Was it's all just, we're going to rob you, and we're just going to tell you we're doing something different than robbing you.
I wonder how many people that got wrapped up in that and actually paid, if they actually did have a problem, called the guy and he just told him to fuck off.
Oh, probably a bunch of them.
Yeah, probably.
You missed it.
Huh?
Yeah. But if you missed a payment, they're throwing a brick through your fucking window and setting everything on fire.
Right. Before too long, he got a tricked out Mercedes. That car was feared as much as he was, because if that car pulled up to your house or business, you're fucked.
Yep, you're done.
He also had 2 or 3 cars full of muscle to accompany him wherever he went. He had a bright purple suit, $3,000 suit, and he had become a kingpin. He wasn't even hiding in plain sight. He was flaunting it like a male peacock.
Oh, yeah.
And he was the man, and you would respect his authority.
Douche. Fucking purple suit. Like, this isn't 1970 anymore. Get out of here.
Well, he's preacher. He don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
Preacher.
When you got that kind of money and that kind of muscle, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Preacher's like the honey badger. Honey badger don't give a fuck.
Honey badger don't give a fuck.
This is why I like doing episodes with you, man.
I missed the honey badger. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I just wish this heartburn would go away. I feel like I'm having a heart attack. It's driving me crazy.
I'm just going to say this right now. There's probably going to be more episodes with Kevin on them coming in the future.
Ah, shit. Here we go.
Do with that what you will.
Damn it.
But, oh, man.
Hey, man, as long as I'm not adding to my workload, I'm good. I'll come on and shoot the shit and pick on idiot criminals all day long.
Word was out on the street that Heatley would kill you rather than talk to you. But by this point, the people who were disappearing were mainly drug dealers, so people didn't care. But an NYPD detective, Jay Marr, took over Harlem's homicide division.
You say Jay Moore, like the actor?
Marr. Jay Marr.
Oh, okay.
Bodies were turning up everywhere, and Marr noticed a pattern in them. Heatley's crew was on the police radar, but they hadn't found anything directly linking them to the bodies. But Marr thought differently, so he started looking harder, and he believed that these dead bodies were connected to Heatley's crew.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. He was right. But nobody was going to point the finger at Heatley. They knew better. Plus, Heatley lurked in the shadows. Unless he was right out in public. But if he's making an appearance in public, the people he's appearing in front of, they know who the fuck he is, and I didn't see nothing.
Nope. Yeah. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
But so nobody could give a description of preacher, and obviously that was just out of fear. Remember, he's like I said, he's parading around in a purple suit with an entourage.
Yeah, he's not hiding real well.
Yeah. But by 1989, Heatley had been at it for 6 years, and nobody in law enforcement could find him. I mean, he was a ghost despite being in plain sight. He was shaking down drug dealers and business owners, and anybody that crossed him turned up dead. And he's a multimillionaire at this point. And he's still paying his crew very well.
I mean, hey, he gets job security and you're getting regular raises. I mean, that's more than we can ask for as a regular person half the time.
Well, I don't want his kind of job security.
I mean, I got a 2% cost of living raise last year around Christmas, which was great because it just all goes to taxes.
But there were drug dealers who were more wealthy than him, though. For example, Rich Porter, a younger guy, a drug dealer who was much more wealthy than Heatley. He flaunted his wealth too, and he was hardcore, and he was moving bricks of cocaine at a time. He wasn't selling to people on the street; he was selling to other dealers.
Yeah, he's a distributor.
Yeah, he's a broker as well.
Damn.
Heatley obviously saw this, which earned Porter a target on his back. Heatley decided that Porter had no right to make more illegal money than he was. But here's the kicker. Porter was already paying Heatley an agreed amount of protection money.
Jesus.
And he was still running circles around Heatley as far as income was concerned. And Porter was just 24 years old at the time, which is much younger than Heatley.
How old's Heatley here? He's like in his 40s?
Heatley was born in 53, 63, 73, 83. He's like 35 or 36 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody's got a bruised ego.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This fucking young man out here doing better than me. I can't be having that.
Yeah. But get this. Are you ready for a twist?
No way. A twist in this?
Rich Porter had an uncle named Johnny Porter who was a member of the Preacher Crew.
Okay, so he's got an insider.
No, just happened that way. Porter, Johnny Porter hooked up with Heatley. Rich Porter created his own empire.
Okay.
So Johnny was a janitor. That sounds like a Primus song. Johnny was a janitor. but so no good can come of this, right?
No.
Right. So Rich knew Heatley was onto him, but he hoped that the fact that his uncle being there would keep both him and his 12-year-old brother Donnell safe from Heatley. Rich loved his little brother Donnell and didn't want to see him getting wrapped up in life on the streets.
Yep.
On December 5th, 1989, Donnell was walking to school with a friend. A man pulled up in a car and called Donnell over. Donnell went to talk to the man and then told his friend that he would see him later. He got into the car and they drove off, and Donnell was never seen alive again.
Fuck.
Family got nervous when Donnell came home, or when Donnell never came home. And the preacher was known for kidnappings by that point. Throw in Rich's situation with Heatley, and it wasn't hard to tell what happened. Yeah.
Yep.
Next day, Rich got a phone call demanding a $500,000 ransom for Donnell's return.
Jesus.
Rich told him that he couldn't come up with the money that quickly. The next day, another call came in telling the family to go to a restaurant on Broadway, it was a McDonald's, to look in the men's restroom under the sink. That's never good.
No, and I mean, in all fairness, he was probably dead the day they picked him up.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Oh, boy.
I told you, we're in Crazy Town now. So they went there and they found a can with Donnell's finger and a cassette tape. Donnell was on the tape begging for his mother and for his life. The recording happened after Donnell's finger had been cut off. So he was screaming. And Boatwright had used a cigar cutter to do it.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That would hurt so bad.
A meat cleaver would have,
son of a bitch, that would hurt.
A meat cleaver would have hurt a hell of a lot less.
Yeah, it would have been faster and cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
But Rich then came up with a plan to get Donnell back. Apparently, Richard Simmons had a side hustle as the most powerful drug dealer in New York City.
How am I just picking up that this guy's name is Richard Simmons now?
or maybe it was a man named Richard Fritz Simmons.
Like was his side hustle like doing old people aerobics or something?
No, the same name, but with Fritz in the middle of it. Fritz had given Rich 25 kilograms of cocaine as well as money. He told Rich to sell the money for whatever he could get for it and to get his brother back. And Fritz didn't even want to be paid back.
No shit.
Yeah. That was amazing to me. I was like, holy crap, really? He didn't want his money back?
God damn.
I mean, as far as drug dealers goes, Rich Porter must have been a decent guy.
Yeah. He's in it for the love of the game, not the money.
Yeah. But on January 4th, 1990, Rich was found dead in a field in Harlem, and Donnell was still missing.
Jesus.
Rich had $2,000 on him, so police knew that Rich wasn't robbed. But it was determined that Rich had been killed by a rival drug dealer, not by the preacher crew.
Oh, shit.
So
it's like a completely unrelated third party killed him?
Yeah, just another just another isolated event. But unfortunately, this sealed Donnell's fate.
Yep.
Heatley knew that there would be no money now, so he had no need to keep Donnell. And Donnell would obviously tell the police everything if he was given the chance to.
Yep. So now he has to die.
Yep. January 28, 1990, a homeless man found Donnell's body wrapped in black garbage bags. This is what caused the FBI and the NYPD to put together the task force to take Heatley and the preachers down. Even with the FBI breathing down Heatley's neck, he didn't stop his criminal activities. He doubled down on them. But still, people didn't want to talk about Heatley. I know nothing. Yeah.
And it's like, of course, like the community is probably not wanting to talk about him because
he's going to come after them if they do.
Right. That, and he's probably helping the community out with money as well. Like putting money back into the community, so they don't want to spoil that.
Like building like a playground and stuff like that. And
Right. Like a guy that I covered on the old show, Danny Green.
Or like freaking Escobar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Where, he's doing some scummy shit, but he's also not going to shit where he eats. He's going to take care of the community, and if you keep the kids under thumb, that you have a constant fresh source of soldiers when they get a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I remember him when I was a kid. He was cool. I'll go work for him.
Yep. Now we're going to get really crazy. You might want to sit up for this one because this is crazy.
All right, let's get up here.
This is going to go in a direction that you never saw it coming, and to be quite honest with you, neither did I. I should have heard about the story when it happened, but I didn't. 1993, Heatley, John Cuff, and some of the preacher crew went into Atlantic City to gamble. A couple gang members from New Jersey joined up with them, and they just started having a friendly dick measuring contest, exchanging war stories while gambling money at a casino. One of the Jersey guys said that they wanted to catch and kill Bobby Brown. Yes.
That Bobby Brown?
That Bobby Brown.
Okay.
That was married to Whitney Houston.
Right. But he had a different prerogative on the whole
thing. You fucker, do you have my notes?
Nope. I'm just an old man, too. I was going to say he beat him to the punch, but that was a little on the nose.
This is what I had. Yes, that Bobby Brown. I guess that's their prerogative. But the Jersey guy said that he had borrowed a kilogram of cocaine from them and it disappeared.
How do you borrow cocaine?
Well, he's Bobby Brown.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't return it once you've done it. I mean, you can't recycle cocaine.
True.
Blow your nose a bunch and be like, here you go, I brought it back.
It's like when you go to the ATM or when you go to a bank teller or whatever and they do a withdrawal, they're like, do you want a receipt? No, I've got the money.
Right.
But so Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston had a mansion in New Jersey at that point. So Bobby was around and he was kind of hard to miss, obviously. Heatley.
Yeah, he's a noticeable guy.
Very. Heatley asked them how much Bobby owed and they said $25,000. Heatley said, "I'll buy the beef from them for $25,000."
Oh God, he's buying his debt.
Yeah, he's buying his debt.
Oh fuck!
So it's his problem, not theirs.
That's a bad thing. That's a very bad thing.
So they agreed. Heatley pulled out $25,000 in cash and just put it on the table. So
I mean, that's like the bank buying, like a different bank buying your mortgage, except then they're going to have somebody come out and beat the shit out of you at the same time.
So,
Uh,
but so with with the New Jersey gang out of the picture, Heatley did what all loan sharks do, who buy debt. He raised the stakes.
yep.
Bobby Brown would have to pay Heatley $400,000.
Ah, listen, you don't pay me, we're going to come beat your wife. I'll do that for you. Don't worry about it.
Nah, that's not where it's going. Oh shit!
God.
Oh shit! No, hold on. Oh man. So Brown told him that he couldn't come up with that much. So the preacher crew, under orders from Heatley, grabbed a beautiful girl from the projects of Harlem. They dressed her up and they sent her to the club on a night when Brown was there.
Uh-oh.
She made her brown. She made her brown. She made her way to Brown, and he liked her. And she pretended that she couldn't hear him because they were in a club. So she's like, "Let's go outside and talk."
No.
They did, and the preacher crew was waiting in what? Take a guess.
Let me see. One of the million cars that he owns.
Not a car.
Back alleyway.
Not a car.
Van.
What color?
Oh, it's got to be a white van. Has to be. Yeah. Has to be a white van.
Yes, of course.
With no windows.
Yep. It's always a white van with no windows. But when they walked by, the doors, the crew flung the doors open, grabbed Brown, and took off. They took him to a warehouse and boatwright stripped him down and hogtied him. And they told him to call Whitney and tell her to get $400,000 or they would kill him. Whitney showed up at the warehouse with a duffel bag full of cash and threw it down and asked where the fuck Bobby was. I can see that from Whitney.
Oh yeah.
The crew untied.
Not Tina Turner, definitely Whitney Houston. She would throw some shit down.
Yeah, she would. But the crew untied him and let him get dressed, and the Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston left. Heatley later said that he liked Whitney over because of this. She had come into Harlem by herself with a bag full of money and then cussed him out after she paid him.
Well, she's probably coked out of her skull, so she's not afraid of shit.
Probably. But
yep.
Take a guess.
I don't know. They took the I didn't even know. I don't know where any of this is going.
Bobby Brown says that this event never happened.
To protect his own ass, I think, or what?
I don't know. He swears that he didn't even know who Heatley was until the story came out, when the tabloids got a hold of it, and that he never had a debt with a drug dealer. And if this did happen, Bobby Brown was lucky because Heatley's victims usually don't survive. However, with the exception of the survival part, everything that I said there does fit Heatley's MO.
That's true. Yeah, but he definitely never owed a drug dealer any money because he didn't do drugs, which is, I think, where he's going with that, probably. I was trying to figure out the camera angle to make it look like I was looking at you Brady Bunch style.
Oh my God. December 1993, there was a New York City drug dealer named Small Paul Singleton. I don't think he was tall.
That's just a goofy name.
Yeah, Small Paul. That's not a name that you want unless you're like really big, like Little John.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because that's like being, my size and having people call you tiny. You're like, fuck you, stop it.
He owed Heatley money, and when he came for it, Singleton laughed in Heatley's face. Bad move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to end up to wake up dead.
Yeah. And the thing is, Singleton actually had the money. He just thought that he could get away with not paying up. It's like, have you been paying attention, you idiot?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
I mean, I don't like to make fun of victims, but this guy is just a fucking idiot. And
it's different when they're asking for it, like this guy was.
Yeah, no, shit.
You know?
I'm not even to the. I'm not.
Holy crap!
He actually went to an abandoned building with them. It's like
literally asked for it.
Yeah, he literally did.
Oh my god!
They put him on trial, and it was a unanimous thumbs down. So he was murdered and then sexually assaulted after the murder.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, this was a symbolic power move. It wasn't sexual.
No, it's domination.
Yeah. He was dismembered, bagged, and taken into Queens to be disposed of. That way it would look like it was done there rather than in Harlem, and the Harlem police would have no clue.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, they weren't communicating back then.
No.
How many unsolved
And then
cases?
you would have one department not telling another one if they have somebody moving back and forth between the two because they want the case on their own.
Right.
And nobody's talking to the FBI.
Right.
Which is a good idea. We should continue to do that.
4 years into the task force, they had nothing concrete on Heatley. So they changed tactics. Jay Marr got a call from a source saying that he saw John Cuff out and about. This is even more crazy. I mean, this story is just like, this story is on, it's like crack with Jolt Cola.
Oh boy.
You starting to wake up now?
Yeah, a little bit.
I told you, this story was insane.
This is fucking crazy.
And to the two people that were supposed to record this with me, y'all fucking missed out. Because this is insane. Marr sent police officers out, and Marr was pulled over, and Cuff was pulled over. Cuff had a stolen ID, which was from somebody else. Finally, Cuff admitted who he was, and Marr arrested him. When Cuff was searched, he had a list of names and the people's relationship to Heatley. Marr figured that it was an extortion list or a kidnap list or a hit list, or all of the above.
Jesus Christ.
He gave the list to the FBI and charged him with impersonation, since the license that he had was actually from a real person. But he was released, and he left with a shit-eating grin on his face.
Jesus Christ. Why?
He's taunting him.
Can we just arrest this guy and, like, keep him off the streets? No? Okay.
Yeah. But this let Heatley know that the police were closing in, so he decided that he had some loose ends to take care of. Boatwright, I don't know what I called him before, but as far as his first name, but his first name is Malik. I don't know what I called him before. It wasn't Malik, though.
I don't know.
And I'm not going to scroll back to find it. It's Malik Boatwright. He was devoted to Heatley. He was the number 3 on Heatley's roster, but he was also Heatley's most vicious hitman, and he had fun as he killed people. He even killed people at random just for fun, so Heatley decided that he was sloppy and that could get Heatley caught. Yeah, just randomly going around killing people?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a good way to fuck up and get your boss in trouble.
Yeah. Heatley sent Boatwright to Georgia, so basically the devil went down to Georgia. But he told Cuff that Boatwright wanted to kill him. Cuff played right into Heatley's hands and said that Boatwright had to go, so they voted and it was unanimous 2 thumbs down. They called Boatwright back from Georgia, telling him that they had somebody there to whack, so they brought him into their kill room, all the while acting like they were buddies. Heatley had music playing loudly, and Cuff shot him in the back of the head.
Ugh.
Yep. And he was dismembered with an electric saw. The blade even got tangled up in his intestines.
Well, see, that's the problem. Is if they're using a sawzall for something like that.
Yeah, it was a circular saw.
Okay, well, still, so I can still make the analogy work there. So something like that, you're going to want to go with less teeth because you're making more of a rough cut than a fine cut. So the more teeth you have, the more it's going to get tangled up.
There's something you want to tell us? There's something you want to tell us?
Oh, I work in maintenance and I do carpentry. I'm just
Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
No, if I was going to dismember somebody, I'm doing it with one of those electric turkey things from Thanksgiving, like back in the 80s and 90s.
He's talking from experience.
No, but I just think it'd be fun shit to try it. Like, who wanted to chunk off like me? Yeah, you did.
But they disposed of most of his body, but they put his head and arms in a refrigerator overnight. And this was used as a warning for everybody else to stay in line. But Boatwright had a tattoo on his arm that Heatley wanted removed. They tried to remove it with acetone. Acetone's not going to take a tattoo off.
No.
I mean, if it would, I'd be rubbing acetone on this piece of shit tattoo that I have that I wish I had never gotten. But
it'll be uncomfortable. But I mean, he's dead. It's not going to do anything.
But even if it worked, if it worked, I would have done it.
Yeah.
But no, acetone's not going to take a tattoo off.
No, I think you'd have to soak somebody's entire body in that shit, like in a barrel for a long time for it to do anything. Because like I've got acetone all over my hands before, and it doesn't bother you.
Shit. It might give you that little slimy feeling. Just pour some white vinegar on it, and it cuts it.
Very very light burn.
Yeah,
almost like a gentle sunburn is what you get. But once you wash it, it's gone.
So 2 crew members took the body parts and dumped them in an abandoned building. Heatley found out and he was pissed. The tattoo was still on the arm, so he ordered the men to go back and retrieve the body parts. They were brought back, and they chucked the head on the ground and started playing soccer with it. Malik Boatwright, one of Heatley's most loyal lackeys, was reduced to that. But this had the opposite effect. Crew members thought that if Boatwright could go out like that, what chance did they have or the rest of the crew have? They wanted out. But Heatley ordered another hit. He wanted another New York City drug dealer taken out. And this was another top player as well. James Brunson, a.k.a. Jamie O, and Alex Brown, a.k.a. Ali Mo. That's actually
goofy-ass nicknames.
It's clever.
That wouldn't make sense.
But what happened at the Alamo?
Yeah, exactly.
Alamo was shot once, but Jamie was shot 13 times, both by one assassin.
Holy shit. But I mean, this is the 90s at this point?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a standard magazine and a handgun at that point,
Yeah.
Before we had to start calling them high capacity, even though that's what comes with it.
Yeah.
Because the ATF is stupid.
Finally, Detective Marr and the task force caught a break. He went into the detention area, and there was a store manager there who had asked to speak with Marr. The man said that somebody had wanted to meet with Marr. The man was a low-level drug dealer named Larry Love. Don't know if that was his real name or if it was just a street name. It could go either way. A meeting was set up at the manager's apartment. Larry Love began spilling his guts, saying it was the preacher crew who took out Jamie O and Alamo. And he thought that they'd be coming for him next because they wanted his business, his drug dealing business.
Right.
Larry Love agreed to testify against the preacher crew in exchange for witness protection and immunity. While Marr was getting the go-ahead on this, Larry paged him. And when he, a pager, for all you young folks out there, is a little device about the size of a business card. But yeah,
looks a lot like that.
What he's got right there.
Because my company is old as fuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We can't just like give people phone numbers.
So that you would just call and then just like text your number in and all that stuff, and you could also text in there, old school and everything. But when Mark called him back, Larry said that Cuff and Heatley were following him. Cuff asked where Larry was, and Larry's like, I'm on. He's like, I'm on such and such and such and such street. There was a courthouse there. Mark told him, go into the courthouse and wait for him. Yeah, he's not setting him up. He's like, we figure he's going to be safe in a courthouse.
Yeah.
Just go into the freaking lobby. Just don't say anything to anybody. Just go into the freaking lobby. So he did. But when Mark got there, Heatley and Cuff were in a van right next to Larry's car waiting for him.
Oh, shit.
But there were a couple other people in there too. But Larry panicked, ran out of the courthouse, jumped into his car and took off, going the wrong way on a one-way street. He made it 10 blocks and somehow managed not to hit anybody. Cuff began to follow, but Mar was running to the van. And he saw Mar, so instead he hauled ass out of the parking lot the right way, in the right flow of traffic. Officers took off after him on foot. The good thing about the horrendous New York City traffic is it was easy for them to stop the van on foot.
Yeah.
They arrested both Cuff and Heatley and the other guys, and in the van they found Halloween masks, knives, baseball bats, duct tape, rope, and other party favors. It was pretty obvious what they were planning on doing.
Yeah, sounds it. They may as well have just had a note on the dash, how to kill this guy.
Yeah. But the DA said that they didn't have anything to hold him on because they didn't actually make an attempt on Larry.
I mean, you can get him on like suspicion to commit mischief or some shit with all that stuff in there.
Yeah, you could, but going to an S&M party.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But they were released, both grinning as they left the police station.
Jesus Christ.
Still, Heatley doubled down. 9 months later, Sheila Berry was murdered. She was a drug mule who sometimes worked for Heatley, but she was also a druggie, so Heatley didn't trust her. Why do I keep saying Heatley? Heatley didn't trust her. Heatley is an awesome blind blues guitar player. Heatley is a sadistic
scumbag.
But Sheila Berry was a sweet girl who had just in a bad place in life, and she was trying to get out of it. She was a popular rap artist, local rap artist, and was even into acting and stuff like that. Preacher Crew had taken drugs off of a drug dealer with no intention of paying him. And they decided to pin the theft on somebody else and let this guy, or gal in this case, take the heat from it.
Nice.
So they put word on the street to other drug dealers that it was Sheila who had done this and that they would take care of it. The crew told her that they knew of a producer who could help her out with her music career, and they had set up a meeting between Sheila and this so-called producer. Clarence Preacher Healy was a lot of things, but one thing that he wasn't was generous. He wasn't going to do anything for anybody out of the kindness of his heart. He didn't even have one.
No. If he did, it was a shriveled up little thing,
Yeah. There was a member of the crew who she hadn't met, who was pretending to be the producer. He wanted her to hear some of the other acts that he had, quote, produced, so they handed her some headphones and she started listening. They came up from behind her and shot her in the back of the head.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There was an abandoned building nearby that, for whatever reason, had a hole in the roof. Above the stairwell, no less, so that it was empty all the way down. And he took her up to the roof and dropped her body into the hole, and it fell 5 stories down to the bottom.
Oh, God.
people on the street knew that she didn't steal any drugs, but it's not like they're going to talk about it. I mean, this chucklehead was vicious and not afraid of anything, and gave zero fucks about killing anybody for anything. But everyone reluctantly accepted the narrative that she had been the one who did it.
God damn.
I don't like rap music, but still, I mean, that, you bait somebody up like that only to put a bullet in their head. That's just fucking cold. You bait them there with your dream, with your dream.
Yep. And then you fucking kill them.
Yeah, that's horrible.
So shitty to do.
Yep.
Okay.
We're in 1995 right now. And when we were just on our last break, I did some searching and I found a 1995 clad proof set of U.S. Mint original government packaging coins that you can find on Amazon for only $16.99. It includes
that's a pretty good deal.
It includes a mint condition penny, nickel, $50, quarter, and dime, along with a certificate of authenticity. And you can find that on Amazon.com.
So you said it was $16 for $50.
$16.99 for, let's see, 75, 85, 90, 91 cents.
Hot damn, what a deal.
What a deal.
That's a screaming deal. Jeez. Oh my God.
By the way, I love your boss.
The shit that people will sell on Amazon is just amazing.
But anyway, I
had to do coin facts though.
Of course, I did. So, but this is only going to be a one-part episode. So Heatley's days. I did it again. Heatley's days are numbered. March 1985, a CI called Marr with a description of Heatley's car and where it was. Marr went to the location, and there it was, a 90s Mercedes, complete with those stupid headlight wipers that were standard, but upped the price of the car by $2,000 on Mercedes back then.
Oh, of course, because it's a Mercedes.
Yeah, and you gotta have windshield wipers on your fucking headlights.
Yep. I think Saab and Volvo did that too.
Those things look so stupid. And you know what? I never saw them in operation ever.
I've never seen them work before. Yeah. Honestly,
they might not even work. I don't know. Anyway,
it could be worse. It could be a probe where the headlights go up out of it.
That was more cool. It kind of gave it like a little bit of a transformer feel to it, Yeah,
except it was a piece of shit, though.
Well, so I mean, it wasn't just a probe. They did it on Corvettes too.
That's true. Yeah.
No, not Camaros. No, they didn't do it on Camaro. No, I don't know.
Camaros, I think, were all just like down in the grill.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you had those windshield wipers, the cost of that car just went up $2,000.
That's ridiculous.
But the car had pulled up to a fire hydrant, which is a ticket. Marr was approaching the car, and Heatley got out, saw Marr approaching him, jumped back into the car and peeled out. Marr ran back to his car. Now a high-speed chase was in progress. Once again, on the wrong side of the road. This is frickin' New York City, not London.
Yeah. Wrong lane, dummy.
Yeah. Heatley got stuck in front of a truck. Marr jumped from his car and ran at Heatley's car, but the truck moved, and Heatley sped off again. He was gone. Several weeks later, the police tracked Heatley down and arrested him for reckless endangerment and evading a police officer. Now they had something to hold him on. He was held without bail for a couple of months, and before he went to trial. But what do you think happens next? Take a guess.
He gets released, or he makes bail or something,
and
then he just goes back to what he was doing.
Smiled on his way out.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, but Heatley beat the charge and was released. And if people were shared to afraid information, that's staying in. If people were afraid to share information about it before, there's no way they're going to do it now. Heatley was untouchable as far as they were concerned, but Heatley started believing it too. Remember back in our John Gotti episode 64, with Todd on it, along with author Vic Ferrari. It was the same thing. Heatley worshipped Gotti and decided that he wasn't going to go out like that. So,
yeah.
John Cuff, it would be found out, had an informant in the police department. Remember, he was a former cop. But when that bit of information came to light, Mara was immediately transferred off of the task force. Why, you might ask? What do you think?
Because he's too close to it, I would assume. Or they think he's an informant.
You were right on the first one.
Okay.
Mar knew this guy and this informant and considered him a friend. So he was made an undercover officer, and all of his information was scrubbed from the computers. The cars that he issued were flagged so that if anybody ran the plates, the NYPD would be notified instantly. They also found out that the plates that he had been using had been ran several times at that point.
Oh my God.
They bugged Mara's house and put officers on guard when he was home. This is freaking serious. I mean, Mara's life was in danger because of a bad cop. Well, two of them, actually. The police followed his wife and kids everywhere, too. And they couldn't take him off the case, though, because he was a key player in the task force.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Heatley had problems of his own. Remember Johnny Porter?
Mm-hmm.
Who was that?
Oh, I don't remember. I remember the name.
You're not paying attention.
Wait, he was the other guy's uncle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The crew member whose nephew, Donnell, was murdered, as well as his brother, Rich. He was having a change of heart, not in a good way.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is one of the most insane cases I've ever covered.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm just being quiet because I'm like, I don't know what direction anything's going. So,
well, you...
I
know. It's just like, okay, what's going to happen next? This is one of the funnest episodes that I've ever researched too, because it was just like,
I'm sure it was a blast.
Yeah, because it was just like a roller coaster of like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You know?
Yeah.
No, and it just keeps escalating to the end. I mean, at the end, well, put a knife in that. So, Johnny Porter. He was having a change of heart, not in a good way. He tried to rape another crew member's daughter.
Oh, bad idea.
That member, Popcorn, was his name. Now this guy interviewed. He's doing his time and everything, but he agreed to come on and interview. But,
not to be confused with other super bad dude Corn Pop.
But Popcorn was out of town, and Porter actually tried to rape the girl, but she got away. And Porter was pissed about that. And a couple days later, the member came back. Popcorn came back. At this point, neither of them knew that the girl in question was Popcorn's daughter.
Boy.
As far as Porter was concerned, it was just a random girl. Didn't know her.
Oh, okay.
Porter had asked Popcorn to take him into town to get some weed. So they stopped at a traffic light, and they were in front of his daughter's school, Popcorn's daughter's school. And his daughter just happened to come out. Porter looked at Popcorn and said, "Look at that hot little bitch. I'm going to rape that little bitch."
Yikes. God, that was an incredibly stupid thing.
Well, like I said, he didn't know it was his daughter. But
yeah, still, yeah, that makes it even better because now he's just going to get his shit kicked in bad.
Popcorn had a 22 in his car. He shot Porter.
Yep.
He shot Porter twice, but Porter jumped out of the car. Popcorn followed and was going to finish him off, but a crossing guard talked him down, saying Porter wasn't worth it.
Like, no, you should have heard what he was just saying. He's totally worth me killing him.
I'm sure that he was screaming it at the crossing guard, and that's why the crossing guard said he's not worth it. You know,
and that's the problem with the 22 is unless you hit him in the head, it's really not doing anything.
No. So Popcorn drove straight to headquarters to John Cuff. He told John Cuff what had happened. At that same moment, the phone rang, and it was Porter's sister who was at the hospital with Johnny Porter. She said that Popcorn had shot Johnny. And Cuff just said to her, it's like, we'll handle it. And he hung up the phone.
We'll handle it. Yeah.
Popcorn told Cuff that he did, in fact, shoot Porter, and that it was him and only him. His family had nothing to do with it. He said that he knew what they were going to do to him, and he begged Cuff to leave his family out of it. He asked Cuff if he could just let me write a letter to my family saying I love them and all that stuff. Cuff said that they didn't like Porter anyway, and told Popcorn to go lay low.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, another twist you didn't see coming.
No, the cops are like, nah.
But you know what? You know what? This is the twist. This is how you hope that this particular scenario would go. You know?
Right.
Yeah, because it's like, you can't kill Popcorn. Dude tried to rape his daughter and then confess it to him.
He's doing the right thing.
Yeah. So, Porter at that point was basically excommunicated from the crew, and he was scared for his life, and rightfully so. So what do you think happens next? Take a guess.
I'm going to say he flips on the entire thing. Yeah. I know a scumbag when I see one.
Porter went to the FBI and said, quote, "We needs to talk."
We needs to talk.
Yeah, plural needs.
Oh, yeah. We needs to talk. I say that quite frequently, too. I needs to do something, yeah.
February 1996, Porter gave the task force a location of Sheila Berry's body. Remember, the building with the hole in the roof?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the roof had collapsed even more and had taken sections of all 5 floors down with it on top of her.
Ugh.
It took 6 days to find her body. You know, and all of the rubble. But
Jesus Christ.
There was a bullet hole in the back of her skull, just like Porter had said. So now they had enough to make arrests. Warrants were issued. Cuff and Heatley were in the wind. And do you think they bolted or just hold up? Take a guess.
Oh, they're just hanging out somewhere at like one of his strongholds of some sort. Would be my guess. Yep.
You're good at this. They had just holed up. 3 weeks later, Heatley came out of his apartment, which was being staked out the entire time. He went to a payphone and he was arrested immediately.
Good.
That's
what you get for using payphones.
Yeah. Payphone, by the way, for you younger people, was like a little booth and everything where you stick a quarter, you pick up the phone off the handset, it's got the numbers there on the base, and everything. You stick a quarter in it or whatever, you dial the number and you talk.
Yeah. Just in case anybody out there is under the age of like
30.
I'd say 35 probably.
So he was cocky as usual, saying he was going to beat the charge. In interrogation, he asked one of the FBI agents, "Just who the hell are you?" The detective replied, "I'm the guy who's going to put you in the electric chair." Actually, that was a mic drop, and I've got one of them too.
Oh shit, yeah. Mine used to sound like that regularly until I got a new board and new cables and stuff.
The death penalty was definitely on the table here, and that's what everybody wanted. But this is New York, so
yeah.
But to everybody's surprise, Heatley started cooperating. He realized that he.
I got this. He realized the jig's up. The news is out. They finally found me. A renegade who had it made. Retrieving on a bounty.
Never more to go astray, just to be the end of the day of the wanted man.
I'm glad you remembered that, because like I could hear it in my head, and I was like, and I lost it as I was going. I was like, oh, damn it.
But you're fucking hey. But you're exactly right though.
Yeah. He's a stick song.
Yeah. And, but it's too bad that he wasn't staring down the barrel of a 45.
Yeah, or whatever that last song that Kurt Cobain did was,
Ooh.
I think that one was a working title might have been Repainting My Ceiling, but I'm not sure. Yikes.
History Goon on the 1159.
I'm tired. I'm getting punchy. But hey, if you like that kind of humor, I'll make those same jokes on my own show. So wait till I talk about Ernest Hemingway. I'm trying to find the most flowery bullshit language to explain suck starting a 12 gauge. So.
But of course, Heatley tried to throw the preacher crew under the bus to get off. He verified all of the crimes.
Oh God!
Popcorn, whose daughter was almost
asshole.
Yeah. Popcorn, whose daughter was almost raped by Porter, woke up one morning to the fire department beating on his door, saying that they had to get out of there because of a chemical leak in the area. They got his wife and daughter out of the house, but as soon as Popcorn got outside, the police swarmed him, put him in cuffs. And I think that this may be the first time I've heard of the fire department being plants in a sting operation for the police, but it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, they're usually like, no, fuck those guys and their hoses. They don't know what they're doing.
Good God, that's so fucking...
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Another member was arrested, and he refused to talk without an attorney present. So they just said, okay, listen. And they played cassette tapes of Heatley throwing everybody under the bus. But Heatley was trying to justify his actions, specifically on Boatwright, saying that he had gotten out of line, even though he didn't. But sure, Boatwright was a piece of shit, and he killed for fun and everything, but he was Heatley's main hitman. He acted under Heatley's orders, and he got killed because Heatley thought that he was a risk.
Oh my God. These people are fucking incredibly dumb.
But Heatley had cleaned the floors in the kill room with acetone. But they didn't pay attention to the walls. And remember the saw blades that got tangled up in Boatwright's intestines? It was still in the kill room. It was still in the kill room.
Okay, listen. All right. So I'm about to go off here for a second because I am a man that uses power tools pretty regularly at work. We're talking every day. They all have a specific place they go in my toolbox. They don't get left anywhere because people will steal them. This makes me fucking angry. Like, I just leave your tools laying around covered in shit. Fuck you. You deserve to get caught. Wipe your shit down and put it away in the right spot. Take the battery out. Well, you guys suck. I hate all you guys.
Apparently, acetone will cut that stuff because they didn't find anything on the floor. But when they used the luminol and the light, the walls lit up like a frickin' fireworks show.
Yep. And I bet that saw did too, because yeah, you think you got it all, but there's still shit inside the saw.
Yeah. July 15th, 1996, a 47 count indictment came down, and RICO charges were filed against everybody involved, regardless of whether they had killed anybody or not. Another one of Heatley's idols was Sammy the Bull Gravano, episode 63, which was also with Todd.
Yeah. Speaking of dirtbags, not Todd,
Yeah.
Sammy Gravano.
He was a hitman who walked on a bunch of charges because of his deal to testify against Gotti. And
then he did a podcast where he just talks about everything that he did illegal.
Yeah.
And they can't do shit about
it. I listened, and when we started episode 64, the one with Gotti, we basically, because we did them back to back. And we're at the beginning of it, I was just like, if you listen to the previous episode about Gravano, just forget that episode exists, because in this one, the episodes are going to cross paths. No, but there are still 2 awesome episodes, by the way. Yeah, it's just anyway. But
good. Yep.
But anyway, this is what Heatley was trying to do. He was trying to testify to get a deal, but the thing is Heatley was the freaking ringleader.
Yeah.
But Heatley took it a little too far. By the time he confessed to murder number 12,
oh my God,
the DA pretty much said, okay, that's too much. All the deals are off the table. You're going down, preacher.
Jesus Christ.
And they knew that he wasn't even done yet.
Probably not even close.
Mm-mm. When asked about Donnell Porter, Heatley said that he couldn't let him live because he could identify him, and that he didn't want people outside to hear him scream. And so the autopsy revealed that Donnell was suffocated after they cut his finger off. Once the deals were off the table, though, Heatley shut up. So he was charged with 12 murders, although he's suspected of around 75 or more in his 13 years as a kingpin. Every member of the preacher crew wound up in prison because of Heatley's confessions. Popcorn was put in the same wing as Heatley, and Heatley admitted to Popcorn that his part in it was minimal. But he had told the FBI everything.
This fucking guy.
Popcorn served 5 years for shooting Porter. He's out now, obviously.
Well, I mean, that one's fine. I get that one. I'm okay with him being released.
I am too. Especially, just like he was muscle that hadn't really muscled yet. That's the vibe I got. The only thing that he did was like try to kill the guy that raped his daughter, or tried to rape his daughter.
Yes, and he deserves to be killed for that.
Right. Don't know if he did. Don't know if it's coming up in the notes or not, because like I said, I wrote these notes 2 weeks ago, and a lot's happened since then. So, the other member I mentioned got a plea deal, 15 years to life. He admits that he killed 4 people, but he said that he did it out of love for Heatley. Most of the crew came from broken homes, troubled backgrounds, and didn't have a way forward in life. Heatley gave them a sense of family, belonging, along with wealth, which is a classic cult leader move. Oh, yeah. So when you have a following like that coming from such a traumatic, chaotic situation, and somebody shows you love, real or not, you're going to latch on.
Yep.
And that's what happened here. There's a lot of Charles Manson vibes here. One preacher crew member called him the Black Charles Manson. The nicest man you ever met, but also the scariest man you ever met.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Clarence Heatley pled guilty to lots of state and federal charges: 13 murders, racketeering, firearms crimes, participation in criminal enterprise, etc. John Cuff was convicted of similar charges, but Heatley was never found guilty of the murder of Donnell Porter, despite the cassette tape. Jesus and the finger. Christ. Nobody did. And they all took plea deals, so that case was never even tried. Yeah, it didn't matter, though. Like Manson, Heatley didn't commit any of the murders that we know of. There's no doubt in my mind that he committed multiple murders. He asked for leniency in the sentencing, and because of that, and he read a statement at the sentencing claiming remorse. He reiterated that he didn't kill anyone that we know of, like we like to say on CKCB, but he admitted that by virtue of him being there that he was guilty. And he was just manipulating, or trying to, but the sentencing judge bought it, and Heatley wasn't sentenced to death. He and John Cuff both got life without parole. Heatley is serving his life sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution in Talladega, Alabama.
With a racetrack.
Yeah. Oh my God, this fucking guy. This is probably the most action-packed case that I've ever done, even surpassing Michael Malloy.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I liked it. But any thoughts wrapping up?
This was a roller coaster.
Indeed.
Yeah, I guessed some things, but then others where I'm like, you know what? I'm not even gonna fucking wager a guess because I don't know what's gonna happen.
No, you got a lot right.
I've never even heard of this guy.
You got a lot right,
you
though.
know?
You did get a lot right.
Well, that's because I spent years listening to and doing true crime stuff on a podcast, and it's like, yeah, you can kind of see. You can kind of see what's coming in some spots, but then it takes a left turn. And you're like, whoa, what the hell happened here?
And this one had a lot of left turns.
Oh yeah. This was a fucking shit show.
I think this is one of my favorite episodes that I've ever done, as far as like the story content itself is concerned.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah, and I'm glad you were here with it. So,
oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had fun. This was again, wild fucking ride. And I'm pretty sure your video people are gonna see that, even though sometimes when I'm not talking, I'm still making faces because it's like I don't know what the fuck to say. Yeah. It's crazy. Shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I can't. I still can't believe that. Yeah, I couldn't find any episodes on him, but I only looked on Spotify. I didn't look anywhere else. But I'm sure there's like 30-minute long episodes about him, like on YouTube and stuff like that. But,
there's no detail. It's just some fucking AI voice telling you something that they found on ChatGPT.
Right, but anyway, thanks a lot.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I love finding stories that nobody's ever covered before, or very few people have ever covered. But I've gotten quite a few that nobody's ever covered, and I think this may be another one. So
I think so, man. This was good. I had a lot of fun listening to this crazy ass story.
Well, thanks for coming on with me once again. I'm looking forward to having you on in the future as my unofficial occasional co-host.
For sure.
But thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate the hell out of it. Please subscribe and follow the YouTube page and comment. Or follow us on whatever streaming platform you use, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, whatever. 5-star ratings are awesome. Really helps to grow the show. Definitely. But what helps the most is what, Kevin?
Downloading.
What helps grow the show?
Oh, you gotta tell people.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah.
So if
one of those things isn't working, coming out of the other right now. So
if you like us, tell a friend. If you hate us, tell an enemy. Be sure to check out History Goon, because depending on when I get this episode released, it will either already be out or be about to be released. I'm going to get this out. So
public launch is the 21st of May of 2025. So if you're listening to this in like a couple years, it's already out.
If you listen to this when I release it, it's not out yet.
Right. No, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I gotta get an episode out because I haven't released anything in like 2 weeks. But I think I have a legitimate excuse for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been a minute since I actually recorded anything myself, but getting back on the horse. It's just try to catch up.
So if you like us, tell a friend. If you hate us, tell an enemy. If you like History Goon, well, you don't know if you like them or not. But if you're hearing this after it's released, you will hear it. So if you like him, tell a friend. If you hate him, tell an enemy. And until next week, which was an episode that we recorded prior to the unfortunate events that we spoke about at the beginning of this episode. But anyway, later.
Bye.